Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. Loss is something we all encounter, whether it's the loss of a loved one, a relationship, a job, or even a cherished dream. It's one of the few experiences in life that unites us all, regardless of who we are or where we come from. But the question we face is, how do we stay calm after loss? How do we move forward when the ground beneath us feels shattered? First, we must understand this. It is okay to feel. Grief is not weakness. Sadness is not failure. Anger, confusion, even numbness. These are natural responses to unnatural moments. Staying calm does not mean shutting off your emotions. It means learning how to manage them with grace and self-compassion. The first step is acceptance. Acceptance does not mean approval. It doesn't mean you're happy about what happened. It means acknowledging the reality of your loss so you can begin to heal. Denial only delays peace. The second step is breathing space, literally and emotionally. In times of pain, even one deep breath can remind you that you're still here. Creating moments of stillness, whether through prayer, meditation, a walk in nature, or simply sitting in silence, helps settle the storm within. Third, surround yourself with support. Grief often makes us want to isolate, but healing happens best in connection. Talk to someone you trust. Seek professional help if you need it. You are not alone, and you don't have to carry your pain in silence. Next, focus on small acts of stability. Loss shakes us, but routines, however simple, give us ground to stand on. Whether it's making your bed, cooking a meal, or journaling your thoughts, these small acts rebuild your sense of control. And finally, find meaning in the memory. With time, pain becomes part of your story, not the whole story. What you lost may shape you, but it does not define you. Honor what was, but do not forget what still is. Your strength, your hope, your ability to love again. Loss is one of the most painful experiences we face in life. Whether it's the death of a loved one, the end of a relationship, or the collapse of a dream, the emotional weight can feel overwhelming. In times like these, people often say, stay strong or keep it together. But what they often miss is this. Real strength begins with feeling your emotions, not avoiding them. When we experience loss, it's natural to feel a flood of emotions: sadness, anger, confusion, guilt, even numbness. These reactions are not signs of weakness. They are proof that we are human, that we have loved, cared, hoped, and invested a part of ourselves into something or someone now gone. Feeling emotions is not something to be ashamed of. It's something to be honored. Emotions, even the painful ones, are messages from our inner world telling us what matters to us. Suppressing your feelings might seem easier in the short term. You might distract yourself with work, social media, or pretend that everything is fine. But buried emotions don't disappear. They build up. When we bottle up grief or pain, it tends to show up later in unexpected ways, like anxiety, irritability, physical illness, or emotional numbness. Eventually, the body and mind demand we face what we've been avoiding. It's better to face the storm when it comes than to let it grow in silence. Feeling your emotions doesn't mean letting them control you. It means allowing yourself space to cry if you need to sit with sadness without rushing to fix it, or to express anger without harming yourself or others. It's about giving yourself permission to hurt without guilt or apology. This emotional honesty creates room for real healing. When you name your pain and sit with it, you begin to take control of your experience. You start to process rather than suppress. Sometimes we fear feeling because we believe it will never end, that if we start crying, we may never stop. But emotions are like waves. They rise, they peak, and eventually they settle. The more we allow ourselves to ride those emotional waves, the less intense they become over time. Resisting them, on the other hand, only adds more pressure. Talking to someone can help you navigate this emotional terrain. Whether it's a trusted friend, family member, or therapist, Expressing your feelings out loud helps make sense of them. When you put feelings into words, you take a chaotic internal experience and give it shape. That's powerful. It's not about finding immediate solutions. It's about being seen, heard, and validated. Journaling can also be a helpful tool. Writing your feelings down helps release the mental tension they carry. Over time, your journal becomes a mirror showing your progress, how far you've come, and how much strength you truly have. Feeling your emotions is not a step backward. It is a step forward into healing. It is an act of self-respect. You are not broken for hurting. You are not weak for grieving. You are simply human, and your emotions are part of your journey. In the aftermath of loss, staying calm, it means opening up. It means allowing your heart to ache so it can eventually soften. It means understanding that pain is a passage, not a prison. And most of all, it means trusting that by feeling fully, you are already healing. Acceptance is often misunderstood. People hear the word and think it means being okay with what happened, or somehow approving of the loss. But that's not what acceptance truly means. Acceptance is not about liking the reality you're facing. It's about acknowledging that it exists. It's about recognizing that something has changed and allowing yourself to stop fighting against it, at least emotionally. When we experience loss, whether it's the passing of someone we love, the end of a relationship, or a personal failure, our first instinct is often resistance. We think, this can't be happening. We replay the past, hoping to rewrite it in our minds. We imagine what could have been or should have been. We hold on to the why and what if, because they give us something to cling to. But the more we resist what has already happened, the more we suffer. Acceptance is not the same as giving up. It doesn't mean you stop caring or that you forget what was important to you. It means you understand that reality has shifted, and no amount of denial will change that. It's the quiet decision to stop exhausting yourself by fighting something that cannot be undone. When you accept the truth of your situation, you free up the emotional energy that denial and resistance drain from you. That energy can then be used for healing, growth, and rebuilding. Reaching acceptance is not a one-time event. It's a process. Some days, you might feel like you're at peace with your loss. On other days, you may feel like you're right back at the beginning, filled with anger or sadness. That's okay. Acceptance isn't linear. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't mean the pain goes away. It simply means you've stopped pretending the loss didn't happen. You've stopped waiting for things to go back to how they were. And that is a major step toward emotional calm and recovery. There's also a form of strength in acceptance that many people overlook. It takes courage to look at something painful and say, this is real, this happened, and now I must find a way to live with it. That kind of honesty with yourself requires emotional bravery. It's far easier to hide from pain, to bury it, or to cover it up with distractions. But true healing begins when you accept your circumstances and begin to work through them rather than around them. Acceptance doesn't mean you don't still feel the loss. It means you're learning to carry it, you're making space for it in your life without letting it define your entire world. With time, acceptance helps you integrate the loss into your story rather than allowing it to consume your identity. It's a way of saying, this hurt me, this changed me, but it will not break me. One of the most powerful things about acceptance is that it opens the door to what comes next. Only when you accept that something is gone can you begin to rebuild. Only when you let go of what was can you start to explore what could be. Acceptance allows you to move forward even with a heavy heart and begin the slow but steady journey toward peace. So if you are in the midst of grief or facing a painful loss, know this: acceptance is not about forgetting. It's not about being okay with everything. It's about taking a deep breath and saying, this is my reality now, and I will find a way through it. And that is one of the most powerful choices you can make. In the chaos that follows loss, the world can feel unbearably loud. Thoughts race, emotions surge, and time itself seems distorted. Everything that once felt stable may suddenly feel unfamiliar. In these moments, creating stillness is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Stillness offers a sanctuary, a pause in the storm, where healing begins not through action, but through presence. Stillness doesn't have to mean complete silence or sitting cross-legged in meditation for hours. It can be as simple as closing your eyes for a few minutes and taking slow, intentional breaths. It can mean stepping outside to feel the sun on your face, or lying in bed with no phone, no TV, just a quiet room and your own thoughts. These small acts may seem insignificant, but they create space. And in that space, your mind and heart begin to untangle. Loss triggers the mind to replay memories, imagine different outcomes, or worry about the future. This mental noise can be exhausting. Stillness interrupts that cycle. It reminds you that while your pain is real, so is your breath, so is the present moment. And sometimes that moment is enough. Stillness is a way to reconnect with yourself. After loss, many people feel like they've lost a part of who they are. Creating calm moments allows you to check in with yourself without pressure to fix anything. Just to notice, how am I feeling right now? What do I need? Sometimes the answer is rest, sometimes it's a good cry, and sometimes it's simply the comfort of doing nothing at all. You don't need to be an expert in mindfulness to benefit from stillness. You don't need a special room or ritual. You just need willingness, a moment of pause, free from judgment. You can sit by a window with a cup of tea. You can listen to soft music, write in a journal, or take a slow walk without a destination. What matters is your intention to step away from the noise of the world and even from the noise of your own mind, if only for a few minutes. In stillness, you might notice things you were too busy or overwhelmed to see before. The way your chest tightens when a memory surfaces, the tear you didn't know was there, or, surprisingly, a small sense of peace hiding under all the sadness. These moments don't erase the pain, but they allow it to soften, to be acknowledged without being all-consuming. Stillness also helps you regulate your emotions. When you pause and breathe, your nervous system begins to settle. The tension in your muscles can loosen. Your heartbeat slows. This physical calming allows your emotional state to shift too. You may find it easier to think clearly, to respond to situations with more patience, and to make decisions with less panic. Importantly, stillness is not about avoidance. It's not a way to escape the reality of loss, but a way to face it gently. It's a way of saying, I'm here, I'm hurting, but I'm not running. In that act of presence, you reclaim a bit of control, not over what happened, but over how you meet it. Grief is not something to rush through. Healing takes time, and in that time, your heart needs rest. Stillness gives your grief room to breathe. It slows everything down so you can simply be. In a world that demands constant movement, stillness becomes a radical act of self-care. It's a quiet promise to yourself that even in loss, you will make space to heal, to reflect, and to simply exist without expectation. And sometimes that's where the deepest healing begins. When loss strikes, it can leave you feeling as if you're drifting alone in a vast, empty ocean. The world around you may continue to move at its usual pace, but inside, everything has changed. In these moments, the natural instinct for many is to retreat, to withdraw from others and bear the pain alone. But while solitude may feel like a safe place to hide, true healing often begins in connection. Grief is not a burden meant to be carried entirely on your own. Human beings are wired for connection. We are social by nature. And in times of pain, we need others not just for comfort, but for perspective, for grounding, and for reminders that we are not alone. Seeking support is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of strength and wisdom. Talking to someone, whether a close friend, a family member, or a therapist, can help release the pressure that builds inside when emotions are bottled. Words have power. When you share your thoughts and feelings out loud, they often feel less overwhelming. A compassionate listener won't have all the answers, but sometimes just being heard is enough to begin feeling human again. Support can take many forms. It might be a shoulder to cry on, someone to sit with you in silence, or a person who helps with practical matters when you don't have the energy. It could be a support group where you're surrounded by others who understand your kind of loss and offer empathy without judgment. Knowing that others have walked a similar path and survived it can bring a quiet kind of hope. Connection doesn't mean always talking about the loss. Sometimes it's just about being with people who care. A walk with a friend, a warm meal shared in quiet company, or a heartfelt message can all be forms of healing connection. These moments, though small, remind you that life continues to offer bits of comfort and beauty, even in the middle of grief. There may be times when it feels hard to reach out. You might worry about being a burden or feel that no one truly understands what you're going through. But you don't have to explain everything perfectly. You don't need to have the right words. The people who care about you don't need you to be strong or composed. They just need you to be real. If personal connections feel too difficult or unavailable, professional help is another invaluable option. Therapists and counselors are trained to hold space for grief. They can guide you through the complex emotions you're experiencing, help you make sense of what you're feeling, and support you in finding ways to cope. Even in today's digital world, support can be found in online communities, forums, and virtual therapy. If face-to-face connection feels like too much, these platforms offer a gentler way to start opening up. Sometimes even reading the words of someone who has faced similar pain can bring comfort and validation. Grief isolates, but connection bridges the gap between pain and healing. It reminds you that your suffering, while unique, is not solitary. There are people who care, people who understand, people who want to help, even if all they can do is sit beside you in silence. You don't have to go through this alone. Loss may leave an emptiness behind, but connection fills some of that space with warmth, presence, and light. And in those shared moments, healing becomes just a little more possible. Reach out, even if it's just a small step, because support doesn't erase the pain, but it does make it lighter to carry. In the wake of loss, life can feel like it has lost all structure. The routines you once followed may suddenly seem meaningless or too difficult to maintain. The days blur together, and even the smallest decisions, what to eat, whether to get out of bed, or when to shower, can feel overwhelming. This disorientation is a natural response to grief. The world you knew has changed, and your mind and body are trying to make sense of it. In times like these, small routines become powerful tools for stability and healing. Routines give us something to hold on to when everything else feels uncertain. They provide a sense of order, however small, in the midst of emotional chaos. While they may not take the pain away, they create a framework to support you as you begin to cope with your new reality. Simple daily habits act as anchors, grounding you in the present moment and helping you regain a sense of control. These routines do not need to be grand or overly structured. In fact, it's the smallest acts that often have the greatest impact. Making your bed in the morning, preparing a cup of tea, going for a short walk at the same time each day, writing a few lines in a journal before bed. These may seem insignificant, but they serve as quiet reminders that life continues and that you still have the power to shape parts of it. Establishing routines can also help your physical and mental health. When you're grieving, your body and mind are under stress. Regular sleep, meals, movement, and even hygiene routines help your body regulate itself. Over time, this reduces fatigue, anxiety, and emotional instability. You may not feel like doing much, but sticking to even 1 or 2 gentle routines each day can start to shift your emotional state. It's important to be gentle with yourself during this time. Your routines do not need to be rigid or perfect. The goal is not to become highly productive or to force yourself into a strict schedule. The goal is to create a rhythm, a pattern that helps your body and mind begin to feel safe again. Grief often feels like a loss of control, but routines allow you to reclaim a small sense of agency in your day. There may be days when even your smallest routines feel impossible. That's okay. The purpose of a routine isn't to punish you for what you can't do. It's to give you something to return to when you're ready. If you miss a day or several, start again when you can. Consistency matters more than perfection. In time, these routines can evolve. As you begin to heal, you might add new habits, ones that bring a sense of joy or creativity. Perhaps it's reading a few pages of a book, listening to music while you cook, or spending a few minutes stretching in the morning. These additions are signs of life slowly returning, of your capacity to care for yourself growing again. Grief changes many things, but it doesn't take away your ability to choose what you do with your day. You may not be able to change what has happened, but you can choose to create moments of structure and calm. And through these moments, healing begins. Not all at once, but bit by bit, in the gentle rhythm of daily life. Stability through small routines is not about pretending everything is okay. It's about finding your footing in a world that feels unstable. It's about building a path one step at a time back to yourself. When we lose someone or something meaningful to us, it can feel as though all that's left is pain. Grief can be so overwhelming that it overshadows every good moment, every beautiful memory. But as time passes and the intensity of sorrow begins to soften, there comes an opportunity to shift our focus, not to forget, but to remember differently. Finding meaning in the memory is not about replacing grief with happiness. It's about allowing the memory of what was lost to continue living in a way that nourishes rather than wounds. Every person we lose leaves behind more than absence. They leave behind moments, lessons, laughter, and love. While those memories may hurt at first, with time, they can become sources of strength. Remembering someone is not about clinging to the past or refusing to move forward. It's about honoring the impact they had on your life, carrying their essence into the present, and letting that connection shape who you continue to become. One of the ways to find meaning in memory is by reflecting on what the person or experience brought into your life. What did you learn from them? How did they shape your values, your personality, your worldview? Perhaps they taught you how to be kind, how to stand up for yourself, how to laugh deeply, or how to love unconditionally. And when it comes to, these are not things that disappear with loss. They stay with you. They become part of who you are. Rituals can also help you find meaning in memory. Lighting a candle, visiting a meaningful place, writing letters to the person you lost, or continuing a tradition they loved. These acts create space to honor them. They also give you a way to transform grief into connection. You are not letting go of the person or the past. You are choosing to carry it with you in a way that brings peace instead of only pain. Sometimes meaning can be found by doing something positive in their name, donating to a cause they cared about, volunteering, planting a tree, or even simply sharing their story with others can be incredibly healing. These actions allow their life to ripple forward, making a difference beyond their time on earth. It is a way of saying you mattered, you still matter. Memories can also be a guide during difficult times. When you're unsure of what to do, ask yourself, what would they have said? What would they want for me? Their wisdom, support, and love do not vanish. They remain within you, offering comfort and direction. And in this way, the relationship continues, just in a different form. It's natural to worry that finding peace in the memory might mean you're forgetting or moving on too quickly. But the truth is, remembering with love does not dishonor grief. It honors the one you lost by allowing their memory to bring light into your life, not just sorrow. Grief and meaning can exist side by side. One does not cancel out the other. Grief changes over time, and so does the way you remember. What once brought tears might someday bring a smile. What once felt like a wound may one day feel like a treasure. That is the quiet transformation that meaning brings. It doesn't erase pain, but it offers balance, a way to live with grief and memory together. Finding meaning in the memory allows you to build a new relationship with what was lost. Not a relationship of presence, but of legacy, of continued love, of quiet strength. And through that, even the most painful losses can begin to grow something beautiful. Not instead of the pain, but alongside it. In the aftermath of loss, it can feel as though the pain will never end. The weight of grief sits heavy on your chest, and every day may feel like a struggle just to get through. In those moments, the idea of healing might seem distant, even impossible. But one of the most important truths to hold on to, perhaps the one that carries you forward when nothing else can, is the belief that you will heal. Not all at once, not completely, and not on a predictable timeline, but steadily and surely you will find your way back to peace. Healing is not about forgetting. It's not about getting over it or pretending the loss never happened. Healing means learning how to live with the pain, how to integrate the loss into your life, and how to keep moving forward even when your heart still aches. It's a journey marked by small steps and quiet progress. Some days will feel lighter than others. Some days will still be hard. But the hard days don't mean you've failed. They're just part of the process. One of the first parts of trusting and healing is letting go of the expectation that it will be quick or easy. Grief does not follow a straight path. There are no shortcuts and no right way to do it. It's different for everyone. For some, healing might begin with expressing emotions openly. For others, it might come from time alone, from creating new routines, or from rediscovering passions. However it happens, it's important to allow your own process to unfold naturally, without judgment. You may not notice the healing as it's happening. You might feel like nothing is changing. But over time, subtle shifts begin to occur. You start to sleep a little better. You begin to laugh again, even if just for a moment. You find comfort in small things. Music, a walk, a kind word. These moments are signs that your heart is beginning to rebuild itself. They are proof that healing is already underway, even if you can't always feel it. It's also important to recognize your own resilience. The fact that you are still here, still trying, still breathing, is itself a sign of strength. Every time you get out of bed, show up for your day, or take care of yourself in some small way, you are moving forward. These efforts matter. They add up. They are part of the healing process, even when they seem insignificant. Trusting that you will heal also means allowing yourself hope. Hope doesn't mean denying your pain. It means believing that life still holds moments of beauty, even after loss. It means allowing yourself to imagine a future where the pain isn't so sharp, where the memories bring more peace than sorrow, and where you can feel joy without guilt. Surrounding yourself with supportive people can help reinforce this trust. Being reminded by others, whether loved ones, support groups, or counselors, that healing is possible can help you hold on to hope when you can't feel it for yourself. Let their belief in your healing carry you on the days when your own belief falters. Most of all, be patient and compassionate with yourself. Healing is not a destination you reach. It's a process you live through. It will come with time, with kindness, and with courage. And while the pain may never fully disappear, it will soften. It will become something you can carry. And in its place, space will open for new beginnings, for light, and for meaning. So even if you feel lost right now, trust that you will not stay in this place forever. Trust that you will grow around your grief. Trust that healing is not only possible, but that it is already happening. One breath, one day, one step at a time.